Pass the Rock on a Monday night. We got our first really angry Buffalo Bills fan to call in. Jesse's CFL Argonauts won the Grey Cup. Welcome.
Could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian. Posting like Kobe Bryant, flying to see the pie. Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing jet skis. He go silly when he go deep, sheesh, is Zach Zeman. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock. Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo partner, pass the rock, for real.
I guess with Jesse out this week, we have to do another new version that incorporates David somehow in it. But and maybe Jersey Mike's. If anybody out there knows a contact at Jersey Mike's for a sponsorship, our angry Bills fan called us Jersey Mike. I'd love to get them involved. Zach, how you doing tonight?
You know, I'm doing good. I'm on Thanksgiving break now from college. As you can see, I'm pretty much in a wood cabin right now, is like what it appears like. Other than that, though, I mean, everything's going well right now.
I expect that if you turned your camera around, we'd see a deer head on the wall, but maybe not. Zach, how are you doing? Obviously still at school.
I think you're referring to me, Jack. But yeah,
sorry.
still at school for now. No worries. Going back to the West Coast tomorrow. That'll be great for Thanksgiving. Be home with the family. But yeah, good. Excited to be here. Talk some more football.
I like that your names rhyme, and I also hate that your names rhyme. So if we can fix that somehow, that'd be great. David, welcome. Thanks for pinch hitting for Jesse, who, you know, I thought was traveling, but it turns out he's just behind on his work. How you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain. Great Sunday football, great sports this week. The World Cup is back. I'm really excited. I have to care about soccer for 2 weeks. Should be a good time. And yeah, looking forward to talking some sports.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up soccer. I forgot that I was supposed to mention the fact that we had a 1-1 draw with the Welsh. And I don't really know what that means other than if we really get beat by England on Friday, it's going to be an ugly World Cup for the U.S., so we'll see. But Pastor Rock is doing a World Cup show on Wednesday, so check that out. It's me and 3 people that know a lot more about soccer than I do. So looking for – and none of them are here on the show today, so actual soccer players. Let's get into some NBA. You know, after at the end of December, we'll get into some more heavy NBA content, but we're about a quarter into the season, and I know everybody's got some great takes, so I'm going to go to you, Zach, first to lead us off. So what's something that you see that's happened in the first quarter that you think is going to extend maybe through the end of the year?
Look, I said this take probably a month or so ago, and you guys laughed at me. You called me stupid. You said it wasn't going to be a good take, and I am going to double down on it, especially after the early season results. The Kings will be winning over 40 games. I expect them to be around 45 games at the end of the season. I don't expect their current pace to keep up the way that it is. That's why I'm not saying they're going to be a 55-win team. I don't think anyone's saying they're going to be a 55-win team. But De'Aaron Fox has looked impressive. They scored the most points per game in the league right now. I think they're like 9-6 right now, which is honestly better than a lot of people expect them to be thus far. So the Kings have really impressed me, and I'm just doubling down on what I've already said because I'm going to be right.
So 2 things. Nobody called you stupid, first of all. Secondly, so you're saying if they go 40-42, that's an impressive take?
Honestly, for the Kings, that's definitely an impressive season. And if I predict that they're between exactly 40 and 45 games, come on, that would be pretty impressive from me saying that over a month ago. Now to here, now to the end of the season. If they somehow stay within 40 to 45 wins, it's pretty small sample size of games you could end up between. So I'd be impressed if that panned out.
All right, so I might just throw your November salary just on that bet and see if we can win something. Now, let me just say, when I went to put in my hot take, I realized David had already taken it. So, David, what is your take for the first quarter of the season?
Yeah, the Atlanta Hawks, they've had a really impressive start to the season. They're scoring at will. Trae Young looks great. There's Dejounte Murray, his debut with the Hawks, good. But I don't think it's going to last. I really don't. I'm still a little skeptical on their defense a little bit. I am fully bought Milwaukee. I think they're the 2 clear powerhouses in the Eastern Conference. I think Miami will figure it out. Might be a little biased, but I think Miami's going to figure it out at some point. And Philly's just so beat up right now. They're eventually going to get healthy and turn things around as well. Even though Doc Rivers is still the head coach over there, they're too talented to, be a play-in team at minimum. So I think ultimately, and Cleveland's really good to start this season too, with Garland and Mitchell in the backcourt. So I don't really know if I'm fully buying into what the Hawks are doing right now. It's a great start, no question, but I do think they are going to take a massive step back, whether it is, hopefully not, whether it is injury, hopefully not though, or just, like I mentioned before, those other teams will start to figure things out and get ahead of them.
Yeah, well, Lost Tribe athlete Roy Levi last week, big Hawks fan. He does not agree with you, but that's all right. So I couldn't pick that. I was all for downgrading an Atlanta team, but you took it from me. I'm going to go with the second one that has two parts. Memphis is going to be the number 1 seed in the West at the end of this regular season. They played the Pelicans last week. That team is stacked. They got weapons everywhere. They're going to be an unbelievable regular season to the likes of the Jazz normally are, and then they're going to lose in the second round of the playoffs. I just don't think they have what it takes to beat, to win a tough series in the playoffs. Maybe if they get lucky and get to play the Lakers in the first round, they'll get through. Although I don't think the Lakers are going to make it to the playoffs, but I do think they're going to have a strong regular season and a big disappointing postseason. To you, Jack.
Yeah. So I think the most surprising part of the NBA season so far has been the Utah Jazz. They're sitting right now the best record in the Western Conference, which obviously I'm not sure that's going to hold. But one thing I think does hold is Lauri Markkanen has been unbelievable to start the season. He's been an all-star caliber player, and I think that continues. I think he's going to be an all-star. Mind you, the all-star game is in Utah this year. So they're going to want an all-star there. I think Lauri Markkanen is going to continue this high level of play. I think he's averaging like 22 a game right now, which is like a career high by far. Remember, this guy was the 7th overall pick in the draft. So like he has talent, and he just needed to be the guy somewhere. And I think he's finally getting that opportunity, and he's looking really good.
Yeah, so Lauri Markkanen going to be an all-star. Memphis is going to be the 1 seed. Atlanta's terrible, and the Kings are going to almost be 500. Hot takes tonight.
One quick note on Utah before we move on real quick. They are impressive, but I think the biggest thing too, sneaky. Not a lot of people know Will Hardy, their new coach that they hired, Greg Popovich's disciple. This guy is a genius. This is nothing new if you really know basketball, which, again, I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but doing more research on this guy, he is so smart and very similar to what Brian Daboll is doing with the New York Giants. Instead of trying to make the players work with his playbook, how is he making his playbook work with the players he has? And that's exactly what they're doing in Utah, and it's very impressive.
And he also came from Ime Udoka on the Celtics, who just did a very similar thing to get the Celtics to the finals last year. So he's coming from this great line of coaches. It's really not that surprising.
Unlike Dayball, can he beat the team from Detroit? That's the question. Going into the Monday night preview, we got 49ers Cardinals tonight. 49ers are favored by 9.5, 10. Kyler not playing. Does that make you a little less excited about this game? Makes me a lot less excited. David, give me your one take. What's going to happen tonight?
It's a Niners route. It's a Niners route. Listen, I've never, even if Kyler Murray was playing, I was never sold on this Cardinals team. The defense is flawed. Kyler Murray has to do everything all the time. I know he's got DeAndre Hopkins back, but still the offensive line is not strong. And, of course, Cliff Kingsbury stinks. He's a terrible coach. The only reason people thought he was half decent is because he coached Patrick Mahomes. Okay, well, you give any coach, but you give me Patrick Mahomes, I'll coach them to be successful. Doesn't mean it's how it's going to work. The Niners are so talented all the way around. They're always in the Super Bowl contention, and this is going to be just, it's going to be one of those Monday Night Football games where I honestly think it's going to be like a 28-10 route. Like, I don't think it's going to be close.
All right, to you, Zach. I know you have a Colt McCoy jersey. You're not wearing it tonight, which would have been perfect. But what do you see this game going?
I think you're mixing up your McCoys. I have a LaShawn McCoy jersey. I don't have a Colt McCoy jersey. But Colt McCoy is in at quarterback for the Cardinals again tonight. And, I think he's just going to make a terrible impression to the fans in Mexico City. They're going to think, oh, the Cardinals, horrible at everything. I mean, the defense is okay, but I mean, the offense being led by Colt McCoy does them no favors. I think the 49ers are going to put a showcase on. They're going to have a lot more fans in Mexico after tonight. I'm going to take the 49ers winning by 20, 30-10.
All right. Going to you, Jack. I know you probably don't have a different opinion because everybody here picks one team, and then I'm stuck at the end. Jack, what do you got?
Well, I mean, come on. You should have known where I'm going with this one. It's my favorite time of the week where I get to gush over Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. It's weekly. I think that they're so much better than the record. I think that they're going to put that on display tonight. And I don't think my pick really changes that much, even in like the margin of victory with or without Colt McCoy, or with or without Kyler Murray. I think the Niners win 34-13 or something like that. I think they really run them out the building. And I hope Cliff Kingsbury gets left in Mexico because that would be very beneficial to this Cardinals team.
I still don't understand. I need an expose on how you can be such a huge Dodger fan, hate the Giants, and love the 49ers.
Okay,
like, I can't root for anything.
It's not that I love the four. Well, no, it's also I'm a Steelers fan, so my LA football ties.
No, I know, but I was talking about the Giants and the Dodgers. Yeah.
Well, I mean, come on, that's different. That's different.
I'd like to study it. That's all I'm saying.
Different.
Okay, here we go. Every week, you guys put me in a situation where I got to decide: do I run the table with one team and then that other team wins for sure? Or do I, like last week, take the Commanders knowing full well they're going to destroy the Eagles by 13 points? No, I'm going with the 49ers. I think it's 28-13. I can't be the outlier this time. And if that gets, the Cardinals a win, then that gets the Cardinals a win, but all 49ers tonight. Let's get to some NFL action. Zach, Justin Fields, no wins, has really woken up and is destroying people on the fantasy football field. Mm-hmm. Is he a top 10 quarterback for right now, 2022?
It's a very close debate, but we've seen a lot of talent being shown. The Bears are finally building the playbook around Justin Fields. I would argue that he's right around that 9 or 10 spot as a top 10 quarterback. So I'm going to say yes, Justin Fields is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Guys, any thoughts?
Any thoughts?
That is wild. That's something that's absolutely wild to say. It's blasphemous. He's been doing this for 4 games. I mean, you're putting him over guys that have been doing this for years now. I'm sure you're about to argue to me that he's better than Justin Herbert, which I think is absolutely wild. But Justin Fields has been doing this for 4 games. He's putting up incredible fantasy numbers because as much as I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, the Bears have done a great job with him. Matt Eberflus and the new coaching staff finding ways to utilize his rushing ability. But we haven't seen that much from his arm. I mean, these incredible fantasy numbers that he's putting up is from the ground game. I don't think he's been making that many high-level throws with precision accuracy or showing off his arm strength. I don't think he's been that impressive. I don't think you can put him top 10 for that, even if they're using him in a way that's benefiting their offense on the ground.
Look, that's fair, but you can't deny that having a dual threat quarterback is a strength in today's NFL. If you completely ignore so if you can't ignore the ground game as part of his arsenal. If he can run for 60-yard touchdowns, you're taking the 60-yard touchdown. That's obviously beneficial to him. At the same time, if you're arguing that Justin Fields isn't top 10 because he's a mobile quarterback, that's a really, really dumb take you have, Jack.
Okay, but if we're talking about mobile quarterbacks here, I mean, what? Who are the top ones in the game? He's not better than Lamar. He's not better than Kyler. I mean, I don't think he's better than Kyler.
That one's a little debatable.
No. I was with you. I was with you, Jack. I really was. And then you said Kyler Murray.
No, he is not better than Kyler. Have you seen Kyler's arm? Have you seen some of the throws that Kyler makes on the run? We haven't seen Justin Fields do that. Maybe the Bears have.
But I mean, mobility-wise, I'm taking Fields over Kyler. I'm taking Fields mobility over Kyler's.
Kyler's been doing this for 3 years now. Justin Fields has been doing it for 4 games.
And yet Fields is
David, your take. Okay, number 1, is Justin Fields a top 10 quarterback? Number 2, is he better than Kyler Murray?
Justin Fields is absolutely a top 10 quarterback in football right now. Look what he did with the Chicago Bears. Their best weapon they just traded for is Chase, and he has latches for like 50 4 weeks. He doesn't do anything. So when you're still 30 points a game and losing, who is that to? The Chicago defense, which they just traded away their 2 all-pro players in Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. Like, why are we so confused that Chicago can still put up 30 to 35 and lose? It's because they got nothing on defense. This is exactly what Chicago wants to do. They want to see what do they have in Justin Fields? What do they have? This is what they have. They have the right coaching staff around him, and he is proving that he can move the ball down the field with this Chicago offense. You get a little more offense in there. I know Cole Kmet looks really good. You put a little more offense in there, and I'm telling you right now, this is an impressive team that give it a couple years, they get the O-line fixed up, and they spend big-time money before they have to pay Justin Fields on their defensive side of the ball. Chicago is going to be up to something special. It's going to be them and the Vikings neck and neck for a long time. I'm telling you, this is exactly what they want to see. I love Justin Fields right now. He is playing at an incredible level of football, and I would take him on my team right now over a lot of quarterbacks. A lot. Not everyone, of course, but I would take him.
No, not everyone. And I like what you're saying with it being this year specifically. If we're going like careers, of course I'm putting Kyler Murray's career over Justin Fields' career as a whole. But if we're talking this year, I am totally agreeing with you, David.
Yeah, so I'm not ready to put him in the top 10, but Kyler Murray was never in my top 10 to begin with. So I do like him better than that. So I am gonna go with he's like 11th or 12th, but I definitely think Kyler Murray's behind that. But I'm not ready to put him up. There's just 10 quarterbacks out of 32 teams. There's 10 better than him, but he's approaching quickly, and all he needs is that first come from behind victory. That's what he needs to figure out, that last drive. He is going to have to pass the ball, like Jack is saying. So, let's go there. A lot more to argue about. Let's start with Eagles-Colts. The Eagles escape, almost losing 2 in a row to 2 really terrible teams. Zach, we'll let you lead it off as the representative of all of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm proud to be that representative. Thank you. I just want to say I'm glad that my heart is somehow still alive after this game. I only had 5 heart attacks, and I'm proud to say that. But my biggest takeaways is that I got to say, I didn't think the Jeff Saturday hire was going to work out whatsoever, and the Colts still looked like a pretty decent team out there despite their lack of talent. I mean, the hire actually seems to be working out in the short term right now. But going to the Eagles, the team that did win the game, just barely, Howie Roseman is the best general manager in football. He saw the problem that you needed to stop the run. The Eagles' run defense was lacking for the past 3 weeks before this. He signs Joseph and Sue, and then they make an immediate impact on Sunday. Ndamukong Suh was signed on Thursday, and he played Sunday and was one of the most impactful players. So I'm just very impressed with those 2 players and with Howie Roseman for going out and filling a need immediately when he saw it was a problem. And then finally, and I think you guys are going to be upset about this, not only is Jalen Hurts the Eagles franchise guy, I think he is second on the MVP rankings right now behind Patrick Mahomes.
I don't think that last part's that crazy to say. Honestly, I think that, the Eagles are sitting at 9-1, and that's been a lot of that. I think has been the significant improvement of Jalen Hurts this year. Last year I thought he was a bottom 5 quarterback in the league, and this year he's jumped up to being. I think you could have a strong debate for top 10. And the NBA, the NFL's narrative, the MVP in the NFL is a very narrative driven award, and just that hard work that Hurts has put in to improve this much is definitely warranted of getting recognition for that. But I think that the narrative is better behind a guy like Tua, just because of the injuries that he's fought through. So if we're going based on the narrative, I think I would give it to Tua. And Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football without a doubt. So Patrick Mahomes right now is the MVP.
Oh yeah, I'm not denying that.
Yeah, that's not a question. Jalen Hurts is not second because it's Josh Allen. He leads his team in rushing, and his team is at the top of the standings. So I'm going to lean on him. I do think the Bills are frauds. I don't think they're going to win the AFC. I don't know that the Eagles are going to win the AFC either, but we'll get to that later. The fact that we're talking about him as a top 5 quarterback is insane. He's on the way up. He's definitely in the top 10. Maybe he's 6. He's not a top 5 quarterback
top
in the
5.
NFL. He's not the guy I want down 6 with the ball on our 10-yard line with less than 2 minutes to take me down and win that game. There's very few quarterbacks I would want. He's not
But
one
he
of them
did that
yet.
and won that game. He just did
Against
that
the
and won
Colts.
that game.
Did I say he's never done it? No, I said
No,
I
but
don't
I'm
want
saying-
him
but I'm
as
saying
my quarterback in that situation.
There are
I would
10
take
guys.
Josh Allen over
Unlike
him.
Justin Herbert, he can actually do it.
I didn't say I would take Justin Herbert. I was saying
know,
I would
but-
take
but
Josh
I would.
Allen. Josh
Give
Allen.
me Herbert.
I would take Herbert in that situation over Hurts, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, no,
Because he can throw the ball.
no.
Well, no,
Hurts
it's not
can
that
throw
Hurts
the ball,
can't throw the
too.
ball. It's just that he's just Herbert's arm strength. First of all, is just far superior to Hurts, and also just the placement in those downfield throws. And I mean, in these last minute drives, you're asking guys to throw the ball 20 yards downfield. I mean, Hurts' little scrambling out of the pocket type thing, evading the defenders and trying to like sidearm it to a guy that's like 5 yards in front of him. That's not going to work in these situations. So I'm taking Herbert as a guy that's going to drive me down the field.
Yeah, we talk about Kirk Cousins being a 1 p.m. quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a first half quarterback. That's what he is. Until he shows me different, he never has to play in the second half. We saw it last week against the Commanders.
He just had a game-winning drive. He had a game-winning drive.
Against the Colts.
I'm not saying that he
Come on.
can't do it. It's not that he can't do it.
Me
It's just
either.
there's guys that do it better.
Yes, agreed.
All right.
Moving on.
No,
Before-
I can
before-
talk about the Eagles. You definitely can talk about the Eagles. First of all, I love that take about what first half Jalen Hurts. That's an incredible take. Incredible take. Because, yeah, he did it just last week. I know, to score their 17th points of the entire game. Yes, he did that. But, listen, the Philadelphia Eagles, they're 9-1. That's fine. But the Philadelphia Eagles are the New York Mets of the National Football League. They're the New York Mets in the National Football League, and the reason being is because as much as you think they're going to succeed, they will let you down when it matters most. We saw it last week, and I really think things are going to start being a little worse for the Eagles as things continue to go on. They just lost Dallas Goedert, which I believe is for the entire season. Maybe he comes back
like
Uh,
in the
4 weeks.
postseason.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
I thought I saw they were shutting him down for the season.
No, they're not.
Either
God.
way, it's just been it's just a weird situation that I have a weird feeling about the Eagles that something is just not going to go their way. They've had a lot of lucky bounces this season, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't think Jalen Hurts he's been a great quarterback. I don't think his numbers aren't even close to being top 5 at all. He has 12 passing touchdowns all year. Okay, whatever.
He's definitely no better than your microphone. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Going Jets Patriots. Okay, Zach Wilson. Jack, I'll let you say it.
All right. So Jets Patriots. All right. Zach Wilson may have done worse in his post-game press conference than he did on the football field in this game. Mind you, he was awful. He was completely terrible. But he went onto the podium after the game, and they asked him, "Did you? What was it? Do you believe you let your defense down?" And he just goes, "No." How do you respond that way? Take accountability. You're the quarterback.
Terrible.
You're supposed to be the leader. Your offense put up 3 points in the game. It is on you. It is your job to score the ball. If they have one touchdown drive in this game, literally one, that's all they needed, they probably win. And the Jets are sitting here, what would they be, 7-3? I mean, all you had to do is do it one time. And here we are sitting after the game. Zach Wilson goes up the podium and he's deflecting the blame. He's saying it's on the defense that held the opposing defense to 3 points. I mean, I don't know how you could possibly say that. It's blasphemous. It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a report just recently saying that Robert Saleh is considering benching Zach Wilson this week. And I think that should be a very serious consideration after the way that Wilson acted after that game.
Honestly, I mean, if there's anyone to blame besides Zach Wilson and the offense, I'd probably say the special teams unit, because I mean, that was just a special teams collapse. That's what lost them the game. I mean, quite simply. But I mean, to put up only 3 points, you have some great weapons on your roster. You have Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore at the very least. I don't know the Jets' entire depth chart by memory, but I'm saying you have weapons and you're not utilizing them properly. So how are you going to blame anyone but yourself for that? There are so many quarterbacks who'd be like, yeah, that's on me. I messed up. I didn't make the right read. There's a lot of quarterbacks in the league who will probably acknowledge that they played like shit, just like Josh Allen did a few weeks back. But Zach Wilson deflecting the blame to the defense? Absolutely just mind-numbing.
Let me just say that Jesse's comment of the only time Zach Wilson got lucky this weekend, ... I thought was going to go in a totally different direction. He can't admit that he's the problem. That's not how you get young moms involved, all right? You got to have this competence, right? His team lost on a last-second punt return, all right? What is this, the CFL? Is this the Grey Cup? That you get points for odd things, like when the opposing team can't return the ball out of the end zone on a punt return. I mean, like total randomness. I mean, the AFC East, you're trying to get out. You're trying to impress us. If it's not the Bills or the Dolphins, it's just not impressive. It's just, come on. Let me move on to Browns Bills. Okay, I want you guys to tell me if the Bills win was impressive or was it not, because I was a little disappointed in this performance. Anybody?
I mean, it was closer than expected. I mean, I wasn't able to catch the game, but I checked that score and I'm like, the Bills only beat the Browns by 8 points. Like, I mean, this is the Browns without Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson returns in, I think, like 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
I mean, and even then, I'm not sure how much of an upgrade it's going to be because he's been so, he hasn't played in so long. But I mean, this is the Jacoby Brissett led Browns. And I get that Amari Cooper is great and everything. But I mean, these are the Bills that people were coming into the season saying were Super Bowl locks to appear in the Super Bowl. And now aren't they 6-3 now? I mean,
7-3.
7-3. All right. I mean, 7-3 is still good, but it's not, they're not running away with the AFC anymore. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's not really.
They're pretty unimpressive. Obviously, I predicted it before the season. They'd lose to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. I think it'll be a challenge for them to get to the AFC Championship, especially if they have to go on the road to beat the Dolphins. But they're just kind of unimpressive right now. They're going through the motions to kind of get through the season. I know Diggs had a bad first half and then came back in the second, but I'm just not feeling great about this team, about winning something big. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to have a really strong record. They may be 12-5 or even 13-4, but they're just not going to be the Bills they need to be to get to the Super Bowl. David.
Yeah. I think that I don't know what it is. Maybe teams are starting to figure out the Bills a little bit, and they got to change up some things in their playbook. I also think Josh Allen is 1,000% hurt. Something's wrong with him. I know he was on the injury report a couple weeks ago, but I still think even before that, something's not right with him. He doesn't seem to be nearly as aggressive as he was in the first 4 weeks of the season. Maybe teams are starting to figure out their defense a little bit. That the Von Miller was such a big splash guy those first 2 weeks. Where's he been since? Like, he hasn't really been a name that's been talked about a lot either. Also to the Bills a little bit, the external factors of the snow, and they barely could even leave Buffalo until the day before at like 5 o'clock at night or something. There was a lot of weird things going on. And now who knows if they'll even go back to Buffalo. They might as well just stay in Detroit because they got the Thanksgiving game on Thursday in Detroit. I don't know what it is. I don't necessarily think that they're done per se, and they'll be very competitive, like we've all said. But there's just something weird. I honestly don't think Josh Allen is 100% healthy, and it might be beneficial that once everything is locked up, whether it is a division or not, who knows? I mean, the Dolphins are still right there with them. But whenever they have their seating locked up and things are comfortable for them, maybe in those last 2, even 3 weeks of the season, it could be time to just bench Allen and make sure he's 100% for the wild card game or whatever game they first play.
I mean,
oh my God, sounds like a war zone.
But Man, I mean, I don't know if you bench Allen. I mean, at this rate, they might be fighting for playoff position near the end of it. So I don't know if you bench him at all. But they are going to be staying.
fighting for playoff. They're not going to be fighting for playoff position. They're going to comfortably make it. I'm talking about if they're like the 3 seed or the 2 seed and they can't go anywhere.
Okay, then you rest Allen for a week. Yes,
that's what I mean.
Then you rest him. Okay.
You know, I want to take this in a little bit of a different direction. I think I was actually a little bit more impressed with the Bills than I thought I would be, because the Browns like to force teams to play their style of football. The Browns are a very run-heavy team. They're going to pound the ball between the tackles. And then defensively, they like to force other teams that are not necessarily that way to play that way. And I think the Bills came in and did that, which is very like anti-Bills. I mean, both Devin Singletary and James Cook had very good games this week. And they threw the ball. I think Josh Allen only threw the ball. Like, he probably threw it less than 30 times, which is like really rare for Josh Allen. I think that's impressive that the Bills were able to adapt, and the Browns they're going to say, all right, we're going to force you to run the ball because you're a weak running team. And then they're just like, all right, we'll go out and rush for, I don't know, whatever it was, probably close to 200 yards on them. I mean, it was a really good game for the Bills. I know they didn't blow them out like you would hope the Bills would against a 3-7 or whatever the Browns are a team, but they found a way to win that is different from how they usually win football games, and that adaptability is impressive.
I just want to say.
No, I think that's. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to say, the Bills are staying in Detroit probably for the next couple of days because they're playing the Lions on Thanksgiving. So I feel like having that familiarity after all the snow they had to deal with will probably help them. I'm looking forward to see what they do on Thanksgiving, but this is a Lions team that's on a 3-game winning streak just kind of out of nowhere when we thought their season was dead in the water. So it's going to be – I don't expect much from that game, but I'm still excited to watch it, if that makes sense.
That's a great segue, Zach. I want to thank you for that segue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Lions-Giants. I'm going to let somebody else start. David, give me a little shout out to what the Giants are doing, because I was really kind of excited about where this team was going to go and giving the Eagles maybe a little bit of a push, but I didn't see it yesterday.
No, it's not me. All right. Okay, time out. This is bad. This is very
This
bad.
is really
What are we
bad.
gonna do? What are we supposed to do? Because I don't think it's me. I think something's up. Because I don't know.
But
what
like,
it is.
Well, we do the show every week.
yeah,
we've never
and
had
this
this
What
happen.
do you
is
mean? I
starting
don't-
up when you start
doing
talking.
it.
Every week we have minimal issues, and then
Well,
freaking
it happened
Warzone
when
mic
I was
over
talking,
here.
I didn't say a word, and it was going. Do you want me to hop off? Like, seriously, do you want me to hop off and just restart because it's really bad?
Yeah,
There's
try
like
it.
4 or
Let's
5
see.
Yeah,
issues.
try
You
it.
can try it.
Yeah, Jesse says
Oh,
it's
my
definitely you. Restart. We'll go to Zach.
All right.
Zach, Giants.
Yes. I don't think the Giants are necessarily like fraudulent yet. I mean, some people will be like, all right, like, they lost to the Lions. I just think that, I always had this feeling that it wasn't their talent that was winning the games. It was their coaching. And Brian Dable has done a fantastic job coaching this Giants team. But eventually you do need talent to win football games. And I think it's finally showing, with this loss against the Lions, the Giants are not that talented. And I think we all knew that coming in, but the Giants, but the Giants just aren't that talented. And it's just like, it's the coaching that's leading to victory. And I hope that they do, stay competitive. I think that this team is still a playoff team. I don't think they're going anywhere in terms of the NFC playoff picture. But the Lions were a team that we thought was going to be good. Then we counted them out after they pretty much just lost the season as we thought. And now they're on a 3-game win streak. So that defense has really stepped up. Aiden Hutchinson's finally getting it going. He has 2 interceptions on the season. So I'm kind of impressed about the Lions looking towards the future right now.
Yeah, this show has never been short on Lions love. So we'll go to
Never,
Jack
ever.
on that.
Yeah, look, I mean, this Lions team this season, they've been impressive on both sides of the ball at different points in the year. I mean, they've had games where what was it, week 3 or 4, where they were the highest scoring offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I mean, the offense has looked really impressive. The defense the past few weeks has been looking really impressive, but then the offense doesn't step up. they haven't really been able to put it together in the same. Jesse's comments are killing me right now. They haven't really been able to put it together in the same week, but I feel like the last 2 or 3 weeks, starting with the Packers game, and then ever since then, they've been putting it together. And this 3-game win streak has been indicative of that. And I think this is a lot more the team that we thought we were going to get out of the Lions coming into the season. Not obviously the best, most talented team on paper, but a team that is going to be gritty. It's going to stay in close games, and it's going to win some. And here we are sitting with them at 5-6, and they're looking pretty solid.
All right, can you guys hear me?
We can hear now.
All right. So I didn't hear. I just assume you guys were giving Lions love. I'll go on the flip side to New York. They're coming back to earth a little bit. Obviously, it's no secret that they were winning because they have fantastic coaching. Their personnel is not good. I still think Daniel Jones is a good quarterback, and I think that he has a bright future with this coaching staff. But I don't see, and they just lost Wan'Dale Robinson. They're one of their wide receivers who's been pretty good and consistent this year is done for the year. So now they have to settle for Kenny Golladay, which is a shame. Listen, they're coming down to earth a bit. They're at 7-4 now. Is that what their record? 7-4?
They are
7-3.
7-3.
Yeah.
7-3. I honestly think just because of how everything's going, they'll probably finish either 9-8 or 8-9. I think it's going to end up being that bad of a finish for. I think it's going to be that bad of a finish for the Giants. Listen, they got the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. That's going to be a huge loss. And on just based on how the Cowboys look right now too. Yeah. But we'll get into Cowboys talk in a little bit. I don't know. They're coming back to earth a little bit. They're seeing what they have. They're experimenting. I still think Daniel Jones, compared to other possible alternatives, compared to other possible realistic alternatives, he is probably their best option. So it's just what it is for New York. And it was a great story. But I think they will be seriously competitive once Daboll's able to get the right pieces that he wants on the football field.
Yeah, I'm just surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think Daniel Jones has done enough this year to mess up what their plan is for the future, because they might have to keep him around, which is probably not what Daboll wanted to do long term. But look, the team's been, winning at a good clip. They lost this week, and then they got a short week, and they got to go to Dallas. That's going to be a tough one to pull off. So I think they're probably out of the conversation. I think if you had to tell me, choose the Lions or the Giants, who's going to be in contention week 18, I might vote the Lions on that, just because, they still get to play the Packers and the Bears and such. So, but, we have to move on because we have to talk some Cowboys-Vikings. Cowboys go in and just, ruin the Vikings narrative. I know people are saying that, it wasn't 1 o'clock, so it's a whole different situation. The Vikings are going to have to play when they're going to have to play. So stop giving me that BS reason for why they're losing. So I was impressed with the Cowboys. I said a few weeks ago that I was pretty impressed with the Cowboys to give the Eagles a good run and to be a disruptor in the NFC playoffs. I kind of like what I'm seeing. I like that they're sticking with Pollard, even though Zeke was back. And I don't know. I'm pretty I hate the Cowboys. I do not enjoy them as a franchise, but I do. I see a lot of positivity with this team. David, to you.
Yeah, quickly, Brian. I'm going to 3 last year, this exact same time. What this year's Cowboys compared to last year's? Great.
Well,
all right, his audio is totally
I think
gone.
we lost
There was some ventriloquism going on.
It was gone for a bit. It was gone.
Yes, you're all
okay. So I'm Brian. Like I said, last year, is it gone again?
It's not synced up with your video. I don't know what's going on, but it's all messed up. I'm gonna have to go to Zach, who's got a Cowboys take.
Yeah, I do. And as an Eagles fan, right, as someone who lives and breathes hating the Dallas Cowboys, I have to admit that they're very likely the second best team in the NFC right now. The Vikings, I feel like I never truly bought into this hype about them. I mean, they looked really good at times, and then the Eagles embarrassed them in prime time, and then they looked good again. And it was like, okay, they look really good, but there's just that thought in the back of your head is like, are they really as good as they look? And the Cowboys just exposed them, even worse than how the Eagles exposed them. So, but if I'm a Vikings fan, I think you have at least 3 more wins. You have 3 more 1 p.m. games, so you got 3 wins right there. And I mean, that will put them at 11 games, and I think that does lock up the division. So, at the end of the day, I think they're still going to the playoffs. I think they're still going to make it there, but they're not going to compete for anything. I don't think they're even going to make it to the NFC Championship at this rate.
I'm not that harsh to overreact on the Vikings. I think the Vikings are still a very solid team. I know they got absolutely beat down by the Cowboys.
I think they're solid. I'm just saying they're not making
I honestly
the
think
NFC
the Vikings,
Championship. That's it.
I think the Vikings might have actually needed that. I think this is the kind of game that they needed. They were riding high. They had just taken down the Bills. They're on like an 8-game win streak. I mean, they were doing too good, and it was getting to them. I think they needed this as sort of like a grounding moment. And I still think this defense has been overperforming this year. It's been much better than expected. I think that Kirk Cousins, like I said, I believe I said this last week, that he's been playing like a top 10 quarterback this year, which I never thought I would say those words about Kirk Cousins. And they still have the weapons. I don't think there's any reason to believe that this team is not capable of making an NFC Championship run. And I know it's tough to say after they just got smacked by another one of the contenders in the NFC. But I really do think that they needed to be humbled, and this will end up being good for them in the long run.
I really like Jesse's take here, in the comments saying that the Vikings need to be humbled just like the Eagles.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think this was the humbling loss that they needed. I think what matters now is how the Vikings respond, because, I mean, that matters with every team. Once they get punched in the mouth, how do you respond the next week? Can you win the next week? And if you can, build off that for the following weeks all the way to playoff contention. So, it's going to be very interesting seeing how the Vikings perform the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up next week. Looks like they got their bye. Looks like they have their bye next week. So they won't get that opportunity. But in 2 weeks, they have.
No, they play on Thanksgiving. They've got the Patriots on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. They got the Patriots on Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
You're right. So, yeah. Look, that's not really that much of a get-right game. All you got to do is score 11 points. And not give up a touchdown on special teams. But let's go Bengals Steelers. The greatest uniform matchup of last week for sure. You got to love the white Bengal tiger action that the Bengals are starting to use. I'll go to you, Jack. You're a Steeler fan. Tell me what I'm supposed to. I don't know why we're talking about this game. The Steelers are uninteresting, almost as uninteresting as my Saints.
I mean, yeah, it's you're right. The Steelers are very much not good. I know David's about to come at me for this, but I really do think that Matt Canada is a big part of the problem. I mean, like it's your favorite joke to make that I can't shut up about how bad he is, but he really is awful. I mean, the offense has no creativity. There's no direction. I understand the defense was not good this week. I mean, this was probably the worst performance of the season for the defense. But then again, they were playing a high-powered Bengals offense. I mean, even without Jamar Chase, this is a very good offense. And I think having TJ Watt back is good for the defense. Having Alex Highsmith on the other side of TJ Watt is good for the defense. But yeah, this season's over. I hope the Steelers just keep losing and get a high draft pick. And it's depressing.
So here's a question.
Now.
What?
No. let me just throw a question at Zach. Okay. Last year at this time, we were talking about the Bengals, but not in a huge way. And then obviously they came on and beat everybody in the playoffs whatsoever until they got to the Rams. Can the same thing happen this year if they get Chase back in the right amount of time? Can they plow through and beat the likes of the Chiefs in the playoffs?
It's honestly a tough road for the rest of the way if you look at their schedule. I mean, they're going to Tennessee, and then they're hosting the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks upcoming. You could easily argue that that's 2 losses right there. The Browns, they're going to have Deshaun Watson, so I'm putting a little bit of a question mark there. But then they go to Tampa Bay, and we'll have to see how this Buccaneers team is off their bye week, this upcoming week. We're going to have to see if if they're going to be the real deal that we think they are. Did they turn their season around, or are they the same first half team that we saw struggling against weak opponents? And then they ended against a really good Patriots defense. So I think it's almost a question of, what seed will they get if they get a seed in the wild card? Because I don't think this team's winning the division, but they're probably going to be wild card bound. And then, I mean, if they make it, then yeah, I can see them making a run with Jamar Chase. I can see that. Without him, I mean, that's the number one guy on your offense. That's the number one weapon. And you just lost Mixon for a little bit too. It's a tough road ahead for Cincinnati. So before we start thinking about playoffs and how far the Bengals will go, let's just see them make it first. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I agree with you. They still have Tennessee, Kansas City, and then they end at home, both games at home against Buffalo, Baltimore. That's a tough road, but I
Oh, that's right. I
kinda
didn't even see that. Yeah, it's a tough road.
but I do agree that if they sneak in, they somehow get in, they're not the team you want to play.
Oh,
I don't think
you
Buffalo.
do not want
if
them
Buffalo
first
ends up the 2 seed or Miami ends up the 2 seed, you don't want to see the Bengals as the
No.
6.
No,
Or I guess
no,
it would be the 7. They'd play the 7.
If you're telling me that you're the Tennessee Titans and you finish as the 3 seed and you got to play the Bengals in the first round,
Oh,
I mean,
God, yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
They're
With
shaking their
Jamar
boots.
Chase and assuming with Joe Mixon, I would take the Bengals in that game.
Yeah. Oh,
I think the Bengals. Well, I also think obviously we read their schedule, tough schedule, but they're no slouch. I mean, they
no
scored
slouch,
37.
but yeah.
It was against the Steelers, but they scored 37 yesterday without a running back for half the game, and without their starting running back, and without Jamar Chase. So obviously, I'm always going to have love in my heart for Joe Burrow and what he can do. But let me just say, we were talking about them the same amount last year, and then look what they did. So. Let's go to Chiefs-Chargers. Easily the best game, I think, of the weekend so far. Zach, I'll start with you. You got a lot of feedback online last week about your Justin Herbert take, so I'll let you respond.
A lot of people online reacted to my clip saying that Justin Herbert was overrated. And, Herbert, he had a pretty darn good game last night. I won't deny that. He played pretty well. But he's still not a top 10 quarterback, and he's still overrated, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's still a good quarterback, and I will still say he's a franchise guy. He's a good quarterback, and he's right on the cusp of being a top 10 quarterback. But he's not. He's not a top 10 quarterback, and everyone's saying it like he is. He has zero clutch factor whatsoever. He can't lead his offense to putting up big numbers. Even Justin Fields can put up big numbers. I get that Kansas City has a good defense, but it's not an elite defense by any means. And he got his weapons back too. So Justin Herbert is still overrated in my book. And we'll get into my second thing a little bit later. I have a second point where it's just an eerily similar ending to the game. But look, you can debate me all you want. Justin Herbert is not a top 10 quarterback. He's close. He's like 11 or 12. He's very close. But he's not a top 10 quarterback in today's NFL. He has no clutch factor.
Wait a second. Jack, before you say something, let me just say this. He has no clutch factor other than the fact that he gave his team the lead with 1:46 left in that game last night. Now, granted, it was to, one of the best, most clutch human beings there is in Patrick Mahomes, and then he ended up winning the game. But Justin Herbert did take that team down to score. Jack.
Yeah, no, I that's a great point. I completely agree with you. I don't know how you can put that loss on Justin Herbert. I mean, I think he did everything possible in his power to win that game. And the only reason they did lose, their defense is way worse than it should be. And that's on Brandon Staley. Yep. That's a different topic of conversation.
Oh, no. I think that Brandon Staley is a horrible head coach.
That's a different topic of conversation. But that's the reason why they lost the game. Mm-hmm. And also that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, the best player in the NFL, and one of the most clutch players I've ever seen play the game. You can't fault Justin Herbert for that. I think he absolutely looked like a top 10 quarterback last night. I mean, if they're playing anyone else, the Chargers probably win that game. I mean, there's not that many guys that can go down the field and do what Mahomes did to win that. So, I really think that it's insane to me that you're still standing by this on Herbert. I honestly thought you might change your tune after that game. I thought you might watch that.
Look,
be like, okay, he's proving me wrong.
Philly fans only play one tune. Whatever they say first, they live or die by it.
Look, I'm just sticking with it. Look, he's just not a top 10 quarterback. And you still look at that QB record. He's 2 games under 500 in his career. I don't care what's happened throughout all 43 of those games. Like, he's not above 500. And while he is a franchise guy, he is the Chargers guy going forward. He's no better than Phillip Rivers, honestly. He's no better than him.
Whoa.
Oh, maybe it was Zach this whole time.
It's honestly the same situation. It's the same thing. The Chargers have pretty much the same situation they had with Phillip Rivers. They're going to have a great guy for over a decade. He's going to be great for years and years, but he's never going to help them win anything. The Chargers are never going to win a Super Bowl under Justin Herbert because everyone around him is also incompetent.
Okay, let's come back to reality. Look, my role in this team is to be the guy that's seen a couple more football games than the rest, okay? Justin Herbert's absolutely a top 10 quarterback. Whenever you start your career, you're going to be, if you're lucky, you're going to be close to 500, okay? That's where he is. So we're looking forward. He got his weapons back. He got his team the lead with a minute 46 left in the game against what I think is pretty clearly, at this point, the number one team in the AFC at least. So all of that happened. The one thing that concerns me, he was 23 for 30 for 280, 2 touchdowns, a tipped interception, still an interception. But the 280 came on a night where he threw a 50-yard touchdown. So he only had 230 yards on the other 22 passes. Now, that's still a pretty good yards per pass average, but they need to utilize him a little more and let him throw the ball a little bit. I think 23 out of 30 is fine, but he's a guy that I think needs 35 attempts, and maybe you win that game. He's absolutely – I agree, Zach. He might not be a top 10 quarterback. He might be a top 5 quarterback.
Yep. I think I agree. I think he's closer to top 5 than he is the top 10.
No.
I'm sorry, to not being top 10.
Right, right.
But I think that you're right. The coaching staff is very much holding him back. I think that
It is.
I think
Totally
if you fire Brandon Staley, get some new guys in there, I think we maybe see Justin Herbert prove Zach wrong a bit. But I think
he probably will. Honestly, Brandon Staley is one of the biggest problems holding Justin Herbert back from my top 10 list. He is just a horrible head coach.
Okay, but how can you fault Herbert for that?
I'm not faulting Herbert necessarily for that. I'm just saying that Staley is holding him back with his play calling and how he uses him.
Yeah, he was the 3rd best quarterback in fantasy last year, and he wasn't that far behind number 1. Right. And let's just say he doesn't get near the rushing yards that Josh Allen does. So, that's a year where he had his guys, mostly throughout the year. He had the same head coach. So I think we are definitely very quick to fire people on this show, as though any of you have ever fired anybody before. But, I think it's hard. I agree with Jesse. It's hard to name 10 better.
What is going on?
All right. I think now that we're done with that game, let's just go ahead and end this charade.
Hold on. I did want
to
point out that coincidence that I mentioned earlier. It's that Eagles, Colts, and Chiefs, Chargers ended pretty similarly, like eerily similarly, right? In the fourth quarter, it started with back-to-back fumbles by both teams, then back-to-back scoring drives, although, there was a field goal instead of a touchdown with the Chargers Chiefs game, followed then by the defense making a play that pretty much ended the game with the Bolton interception and the Brandon Graham sack that pretty much sealed Indianapolis to go out on downs. So I thought that was a pretty weird coincidence because I was watching the game last night, Chiefs Chargers, and I was like, this is just like what happened earlier. So I thought that was an interesting coincidence. That's all.
Yep. It was strange.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a little strange coincidence. That's all.
Well, Jesse says Eagles are better than the Colts are better than the Chiefs. I think that's the line that Zach is trying to throw out there, as the Colts did beat the Chiefs. So pretty wacky Pass the Rock this week with all these audio craziness. But a lot of great takes as always. We're all looking forward to Canada's first game in the World Cup. I know Jesse can't wait. He loves him some soccer. So, boys, it's been great. Looking forward to Monday Night Football tonight. And we all picked the 49ers, so I'm sure the Cardinals will win.
Yep,
See you next week.
absolutely.